Yes, yes, yes. Oh, I know what that sound means. Time for In the Paddock F1. Greeny and the Cheese. Round 6 of the F1 season takes us to the States for the first of 3 times. But this is the 67th time that we've raced in the States. We're in South Beach, Miami, for the Miami Grand Prix. Miami, known for those beaches and a whole bunch of other things we're going to get into here. But while you're there, you got to hit South Beach. Hit the little beach with the glitz and the glam. Maybe take a stroll down the Miami Riverwalk. Maybe hit up a little Havana. Get a little bit of that Cubano food in you. Yes, sir. And of course, maybe you always got to take a strip down Ocean Drive for the Art Deco hotels, restaurants, bars, and nightclubs. You know, you got to shake your thing all night long. This ain't no travel show. This is an F1 show. We're racing the Miami International Autodromo. Why you call it an Autodromo? It's a parking lot, for Christ's sake. But it's 3.36 miles, 19 corners, 3 DRS zones. You give it the full beans for 59% of your lap. And oh, what a weekend we got. Sprint race was exciting. K-Mag was a, pinball? Do you want to call it anything else?
K-Mag?
The race.
I'm talking about K-Mag.
The pinball during that sprint race. Pinball.
Not good.
But then we got to the race. Sergio almost took out the entire front of the field, locking it up into turn 1. We got a mid-race safety car, which benefited Lando. But maybe that's his lady luck as he goes and takes his maiden win in Formula 1. Max takes second. Leclerc rounds out the podium. We're caffeinated. We're medicated, Greeny. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Quickly after the race, we're jumping on here. And thanks for jumping on with us as well in the Paddock F1, Greeny and the Cheese. Thank you all so much for support recently. Not just recently, but 2024 has been just a phenomenal year for us. Coming off another phenomenal month. And all because of you guys and everyone listening. So, as always, check us out on YouTube. Just hit Greeny and the Cheese in the search box. We'll pop right up, as well as send us an email. Fill up our mailbag in the Paddock USA at gmail.com. If we like what we see, we'll talk about it on the show. So always a great way to stay involved. Holy mother of Moses, Lando Norris. I would say Lando would win a race when Ferraris go blue. And here we are, Miami 2024, snapping a Max Verstappen's, I believe, 6-race U.S. win streak. And yeah, we have some parity for a moment. Obviously, Max hit that bollard and did not look the same after that. Lando definitely just drove the race of his life after the Koningsdag incident in Amsterdam. I don't know, they're like unwrapping his face like an episode of Twilight Zone. Maybe a new Lando emerged from the cocoon that he was released from. And this is the new Lando. He's got a real like Empire Strikes Back Luke Skywalker vibe going on right now. It's like he went to Dagobah, and I think he could be that Jedi warrior that we're all waiting for.
He went to Amsterdam. He got swapped by the Wampa. Had to go in the tube. The little health tube there to regenerate. And he came out a different person.
It's true.
Absolutely. Well, the upgrades McLaren brought also were definitely spot on.
Yeah, that helped
because Lando was fast the entire weekend. Out of the box. I mean, he was putting up crazy times on the mediums, and everybody else was putting up times on the softs. So, I mean, that car was working all weekend, but Red Bull struggled pretty much most of the weekend. Max was not happy the entire weekend, pissing and moaning about understeer, oversteer, this, that, and the other thing. So, definitely wasn't a good weekend for them, and McLaren capitalized. Safety car definitely helped out too. Max making a mistake, hitting the bollard, definitely did some kind of damage to that car. Because when he came in first pits, they were putting a couple cranks of wing in the front of that car. So that tells me that the front definitely had some damage on that wing from the bollard, pushing that thing around. So Yeah, but kudos to Lando, finally getting that monkey off his back. Long time coming. I mean, he should have had it years ago in Russia when, but his team didn't bring him in and put the wet tires on and left him out there, or he made the call to stay out before
the
it
Russian
started to pour rain, and before it just started pouring rain, and just he was toast at that point. So, I mean, but it was a long time coming. Deserves it. Kudos to Lando. About time.
Yeah, a little redemption for Lando. And like we talked about preseason, and like we talk about pretty much every week, is for those who say Max is just going to run away with it again and going to win every race, or think that there's nothing to root for on race day, you're wrong, because last year was, as we talked about, was almost like a total fluke. How Max won pretty much every race. That's not normal. He already has lost just as many races as he did all last year. All last season, right? He only lost 3 or 2. Carlos won 1 and Perez won 2, so maybe 3 races he lost.
3. Yep.
I think that's right. Yep. So he's pretty much just there, which really goes to show that last year was just in many ways a fluke. I really am very impressed with Max Verstappen's maturity, the way he got out of the car, the way he, as almost an elder statesman in this case, went over to Lando and congratulated him afterwards. Was really everyone was rooting for Lando. Now, if he continues his winning ways, they're not going to be so supportive and rooting for him as far as the other teams are concerned. But today, absolutely, what awesome to see on the track, seeing everyone out there during the podium celebration, really rooting for Lando and rooting him on. And obviously, those who aren't Max Verstappen or Red Bull know that it's not a winnable season, most likely. Ferrari stays in the mix with a 3-4. Charles Leclerc back on podium again. It's his third podium of the year. So Ferrari looking good.
He's finished in the top 4 in every race, I think.
Every race. So how about that for Charles Leclerc? And finally, Nico Hulkenberg caught up to Ollie Bierman on the points list. So not doing too bad. Not doing too bad.
Another point here about McLaren. If you think about this, year ago, Miami, McLaren finished like a minute and a half behind Max Verstappen.
And that's 7 seconds ahead.
They finished today 7 seconds ahead. So
look at that.
How about that? How about that for some car development? How about that?
Well, remember where McLaren was last year. We didn't think McLaren was going to win a race in this generation of vehicles after the way they started last year.
The car came out. The car was bad.
Car was a really clunker. Bad. It was a clunker last year. And what Zak Brown has done and what that team has done from top to bottom, man, Zak Brown, he is really becoming a much more prominent face in Formula One, and him and Lando could be, like the next Horner and Verstappen, or Lewis Hamilton and Toto Wolff. I think it's possible. Maybe not in this generation of cars, but maybe the next generation of cars could be a McLaren generation of cars, maybe not a Ferrari generation. But only time will tell. But today is Lando's day. He almost lost his face. The man took it in the face and survived. A wounded dog, my friend, a wounded dog is a dangerous thing. And it was here. But yeah, that whole arc, the whole arc of Lando over the last couple weeks here has been pretty wild. Yeah. What a day. Oscar Piastri was right up there as well. And then his day fell apart. So McLaren lost a little bit of thunder there.
He keeps getting some bad luck.
Bad luck again. And so he ends up way in the back, out of the points. That's really it from the top. Sergio Perez, definitely disappointing again. All weekend, Sergio Perez. And But the day is Lando Norris's. Good
Absolutely.
for him, man. He was crying right out of that car. The emotion, overjoyed. Nothing like winning your first Formula One race. And doing it in Miami. Come on now. You're going to do it anywhere. Outside of Vegas.
It's going to be a party down there tonight.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yeah, or maybe like Silverstone or something like that. That's a good place to go and a good place to win. Well, yeah, I mean, your home Grand Prix to win your first is a whole other thing. But, yeah, that's all I really got to say about that, man. Congratulations. Unbelievable. Absolutely. Really. And I truly mean unbelievable in that word because many of us didn't think, you personally didn't think, that Lando would win. I did predict before the season that Lando Norris would win his first race of his career in 2024, and got that one right. So we'll talk about that later in the show. Greenie Bucks. I know we have momentarily, sir. I'm shining up my helmet, putting it on, getting it nice, snug, and fit. Take a couple laps, or at least one lap, to your madness. I don't know if I'm ready for that. So what kind of madness you got this week, She's, in Quizmaster's cockpit? Is who knows where you can go with the U.S.? Probably I know more about the U.S. races than other races, or at least other countries, at least. But still not confident because who knows what kind of madness you're going to throw at me. It's like Stump the Schwab, except I am the farthest thing from Schwab in Formula One here. Remember that show from back in the day?
Yes,
By the way, ABC, for those of you watching in the U.S., had quite the couple hours there with Donovan Mitchell at the end of it. For those in the U.S. who saw the Cavs Orlando Magic basketball game leading into the Formula One race, he's dropping F-bombs live on the air. And then at the end of the race, if you saw the end of the race, Lando Norris is just going off, dropping F-bombs live on ABC, Disney. So right in the middle of the afternoon here in the U.S. So hope the kids enjoyed that little double live F-bomb.
To be honest, that's how people talk. So I don't even know why they even bleep it because that's how everybody talks in the rest of the world. So just let it go, man. Just let it go. You walk out the front door, you hear it. So what's the difference? Who cares? Let's get back to the cockpit here. I need trying to delay.
What front door are you walking out of? People are cussing in the streets. Oh, you live outside of Philly. Anyway, that makes sense. Never mind. I'm sorry.
Question 1, sir.
All right.
Where else in Florida has F1 held a race?
Sebring?
That is correct.
I'm on my bell. Bing, bing, bing. Who took my
Does
bell?
He doesn't have his bell.
Oh, I got it. That's one.
That's one.
That's a good question.
Including today. How many F1 Grand Prix has been held in the United States?
You said this at the beginning of the show, and my New Year's resolution was to pay attention to when you talk at the beginning of each show. That number 67, sir.
That is correct. 2 for 2. Oh, we need like some kind of music.
I know, we need some music. Get some intense music going. I didn't think we'd get here. Like a Lando Norris win, I didn't think we'd get here. I'm going to be honest.
Question number 3. Can he get the hot lap?
It's been a while.
Lando got his first win today. Who was the last driver to get their maiden win in the United States?
I believe that was the 1982 Las Vegas Grand Prix at Caesar's Palace, was it not? Was it Michelle Alvarado?
That is correct.
Wow.
Wow.
Woo.
Wow. Wow. He drops the mic. He's out.
Sorry, I had to walk that one off. Sorry, for those of you listening, I just walked off for a moment. Felt good. It's been like a year since I hit that.
Yes, you did. So that means we go into winners for a change to start off. How about that?
I gotta redo my whole page here. Give me a second here. We got winners.
Wow. Shockingly enough, I actually put winners on top this week, too. How about that?
The prognosticator of prognosticators.
All right, my first winner is going to go to Esteban Ocon, putting the Alpine in the points. They finally got the Alpine down to the minimum weight.
Hell yeah.
How about that?
Hell yeah.
So let's give it up to Esteban getting that Alpine in the points. And Yuki Tsunoda, of the top 10 in the points for Yuki, 7th place. Let's put a string together here.
Absolutely.
Give it up to him.
Absolutely. That's an easy one with Yuki. And yeah, he is stringing them together, man. He really is starting to string them together. Yeah. And I mean, Danny didn't look as bad overall in the weekend. I mean, finishing 4th in the sprint race, you got to give it to him. And then
Jekyll and Hyde.
And then 18th in quali, and then back of the pack. But Yuki, he's obviously clearly shining and clearly outshining Danny. It's Danny's worst nightmare right now. The Yuki Tsunoda's having a moment. So not good for Danny, and really good for Yuki. So doing great. Is that all you got for winners here?
Yeah, that's really all I got. I mean, you could throw Lewis getting in there with 6 with that rubbish Mercedes. I mean, that's still pretty decent drive. We talked about in the first segment, Ferrari 3-4, still hanging up there, still gaining those points. Clear, second behind Red Bull in the points, which are still, what's it, like 50 points ahead of Ferrari. So already, but that's pretty much all I got for winners there.
Yeah, I mean, and you got to give it up to Pierre Gasly as well. A 10th and a 12th for Alpine just after the season they've had, even though they have 1 point, leaving only 2 teams pointless this year. So definitely not bad. I mean, you got to give it to the Ferraris as winners. I mean, it's not much going on the win column this week, but Ferrari stood strong. It looked like they had some problems overall over the weekend.
Yeah, it wasn't their best weekend. Definitely not their best weekend there.
But
to still get a 3-4.
To still have a bad weekend. And still get a 3-4 and still finish on podium with problems just shows how far Ferrari's come, especially over the last 2 years. Really shows how far Ferrari's come. A lot of teams didn't have good weekends this weekend. Fernando Alonso, man, starting 15th, finishing 9th. I know we were talking about him potentially cutting through the field a little more, but he had a lot of issues this week too, and no help with his partner there. He ain't helping anything out. So not a good weekend. I know he was involved just in a whole bunch of stuff this weekend as Fernando Alonso, and a lot of bad luck this weekend as well. I don't know if his age is starting to show a little bit, or he just luck is luck and it goes around. But yeah, he definitely overcame some stuff and finished top 10. And I mean, you could give it to Nico. He finished 11th, could finish in the points. That would probably be easy slam dunk if Nico had points. But he looked good in the sprint race. They looked kind of good all weekend. I think he's feeling rejuvenated now that has a end light at the end of the tunnel of leaving Haas and what his future is going to look like. And I don't mean that condescendingly. I mean that honestly. And his partner's doing everything he possibly can to not have a job. But we'll talk about that after. So that leaves us into losers now. Feels weird to say.
Does feel weird to say.
Like
first loser's definitely got to be Williams. I mean, just another mess.
Yeah, loser's not even the word. It's a disaster over there now.
Like disaster. I mean, Albon with that mega lockup, and he, 5 cars pass him. It wasn't Sarge's fault when he got knocked out of the race there, but still, it's bad things are happening back there. Just They got the bad juju going big time.
Big time.
It's like snowballing. It's snowballing at this point. I mean, I personally, I'm going to put Danny in the losers column.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he had a good sprint race, but that was a Jekyll and Hyde weekend to come out, finish fourth in the sprint, and then come out for quali later and tank it.
It's the most Danny thing you could do.
I mean, that like, what is that? I mean, you're fighting for your job. They're talking about somebody replacing you. You throw up a fourth, great performance in the sprint race, and you just completely fumble it from that point on. So Jekyll and Hyde weekend there for
not good.
Ricardo. No, definitely not. Those will be my losers. You got any additions?
I mean, Sergio Perez just decided to start trying to screw the race up right from the get-go. I don't know what the hell's wrong with him now. It seemed like he was really pushing, coming out of fourth. Definitely not where he wanted to start the race and not the weekend he wanted to have. Charles Leclerc clearly just ran circles around him in the sprint race. Definitely, I feel that Sergio, and if you saw some of his interviews and you saw what was going down in between the sprint and everything else, he just seemed very unconfident. And you don't want to be unconfident in Formula One. And you saw it immediately that confidence or lack of confidence right out the gate. And he locks up bad, shoots right across, almost takes out both Ferraris immediately, which would
almost took Max out. He barely just missed the rear of Max's car.
Completely would have changed the race. Max out. And completely would have changed if Lando won without Max being there. Would have completely changed almost the legitimacy. Not the legitimacy. It's a win's a win. Yeah. But the juju.
Oh, when it came up, Max did it. Max wasn't in the race. Or it definitely would have came up. Absolutely.
So, so Sergio almost screwed the pooch from right at the get-go. Big time loser there. Borderline slap if it wasn't for the rear back I'm about to give. But I mean, Lance Stroll, can you do any less? I should have worn my "Can you do any less" shirt today. I mean, I think I gotta get that for next time. Can you do any less? Starts 11th, finishes 17th. It's just a mess, man. It's just a mess. He wakes up in weird times. He doesn't care during the race, and then he cares. I think something's really mentally wrong with him. I don't want to play armchair psychologist here, but I think something's legitimately wrong with him because he's so hot and cold, all in the same race. I don't know. He just – because always, the end of the race, he always has this intensity, the last, 6, 7, 15 laps sometimes, where he's like, oh, shit, I'm in the back of the pack. I started.
It's go time.
It's go time, but you're so far behind. It's just so weird. It's weird, and he doesn't have the instinct of a Formula One driver. I don't know if you agree or not agree. I don't think he has the pure instinct of a Formula One driver. Where if you're in the car, you see radio communications all the time, and radio comm goes into some drivers, and they're just so annoyed. They don't want to hear from them because they're in the zone. Right, George Russell today was barking back at race command race control because they were talking at the wrong time, and you hear it a lot, and you see it a lot. I don't know if I see it so much with Lance Stroll because he's not in the zone. Right, they're in the zone, and that's why they're not trying to be rude. They're not trying to be assholes. They're just in the zone. Don't talk to me when I'm in the zone. Charles Leclerc does it probably the most. Max as well. And I mean, these are the best in the world in their zone. And anyone who's done a job where you're in the zone of your job, where you just blank out and you're just in the zone, just leave me the hell alone. And I don't know if he has that zone. Talk about Lance Stroll. I don't know if he has it. And if he does, or he did, I don't know if he has it anymore. So, and it's dangerous out there, man. You just got to take it seriously. And not that he doesn't take it seriously. It's just, it's not consistent the whole race. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if you're seeing the same thing as I am.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, with the sale and stuff going on here, he might not have a job anyway because his dad might not be in charge. So
Well, that sure leaves us with only one thing.
I need to slap my goddamn for that.
Oh, man. I hate to do it on home turf. But god damn it. Kevin Magnussen. 7 penalties? 7 penalties!
A touchdown and an extra point.
A touchdown, and he came right down Don Shula Drive, and he scored 7. What the hell? That's so dangerous. It's so dangerous, and some of the penalties.
Did you hear what he said after the sprint race?
Enlighten me, sir.
It was something like, yeah, it might have been a little over the top, but I had to play the game. He wanted to be a pinball, I guess.
I mean, listen.
I don't know, maybe he had, his pre-race music before that race or the sprint race. Maybe he had a little Tommy on by The Who. Maybe he had a little pinball wizard going, because that's what he looked like, bouncing off everybody.
There's got to be
like
a trick.
Lunatic.
Pinball wizard, got to be a trick. Yeah. I don't know, man. Wild. Listen. It also makes us forget, and the original slap was going to go to Lando Norris, who got out of the freaking car and was about to walk on the track. During the sprint.
Across the track.
He walked across the track, a live track without marshal permission.
He got fined 20,000 euros for that too.
I think it was 25 now and 25 later if he does it again. And that'll be on top of another penalty. So it was 25K deferred, I believe, and 25K now, or 20 or 25K. I think it's worth it in the end for him, because he's not going to remember what the hell's going on after he just won his first race. But, man, he might not have even made it to the race. That's a live track. You can't cross that shit. Oh, man. And that's my slap.
Ah, yes. Oh, you know what that sound means? Best damn sound of the week. Maybe not this week. We'll let you know. It's time to take that fantasy ride to that fantasy island of Greentopia, where the beer flows like wine and the wine flows like beer. And the cannabis, oh yes, it grows as far as the eyes can see. Look at it. Looking at it out there. Green and luscious. Take a little whiff. That air smells fantastic. Take a little walk to the top of the hill. Got the seat on the top. Tickets in hand. Are we cashing in or are we checking out? Well, I'll tell you this much. There's a whole bunch of losers on this side this week. They'll get the hell out of Greentopia as quick as you can. That was a bad weekend for us.
Yeah, it was a bad weekend for you, maybe. I ended up cashing in from my preseason bets. You don't always get the wins.
Not on your race bets. Not on your race
bets. My race bets stunk. We were both plus 350 on Fernando Alonso finishing top 6. He gave it a valiant effort, but coming from 15th, that's a tall order. That's why you get plus 350. Obviously, with Max not winning, of course, all of our trifectas included Max. I think we both had Max, Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz for our trifectas plus 550. I had red flag plus 400. I was rooting for chaos. That did not happen. And
should teach you a lesson for rooting for
forget
chaos.
What else you had. Oh, I'll root for chaos. And it's Miami.
Sainz making the podium, like plus 160 or something.
Not a bad bet, but did not pan out.
All big cans of nope.
All big cans of nope. I did win that, like I mentioned earlier, the preseason bet we had that Lando Norris would win his first race of his career. So I made a couple $100 greeny bucks back on that, which still leaves me about 800 greeny bucks back, 4,450 greeny bucks for you, 3,600 greeny bucks for me. So you still got an 800 greeny buck lead, but chipping away. One of us is going to hit a trifecta soon, and Either I'm going to come back and get close to you, or you're just going to take off into the marijuana fields, never to be seen again.
Greentopia's a great place, boys and girls.
It's a great place.
Especially on another holiday weekend, you know, a little May the 4th and a little Cinco de Mayo, so it was party galore on Main
It's
Street.
been a party galore weekend. Hopefully everyone out there has been partying galore and partying safely if they are partying galore. If not, once again, thanks for joining us for this Cinco de Mayo Star Wars weekend party. Got to drop a little Star Wars jams in there too in the episodes, squeezing those in. Which leaves us, sir. There's only one thing left to do, and that is
In
the news.
Ooh, we got some good, tasty tidbits this week, boys and girls. Number one, we got 4. We'll leave the big kahuna for last. Carlos Sainz has apparently turned down the Audi offer. He wants Red Bull or Mercedes. Is that a mistake?
As far as like monetarily? Now, whatever he's going to do, he's going to get more money than he's ever going to be able to spend in his life.
Could end up not with a seat. You know, if Red Bull sticks with Perez and Mercedes doesn't choose him,
he'll end up with a seat. He just won't end up with in a desirable seat. If he plays musical chairs or really musical seats here, that's what he's doing. Yeah. He's playing musical chairs. And when the music stops and everyone sits, is Carlos Sainz going to have a seat in a top car? And yeah, I don't know what Audi. Do we have the number? Do we have the Audi number? No. I'm telling you, it was probably 3. I think it was 3 years, 180 million. I think it was something crazy like that. Now it's not my money. If I'm like, well, 40 million and 60 million a year, like, what's the big difference? But it's a big freaking difference. But the point being is that what does he want? Like, what does Carlos Sainz want? Does he want to be a winner, or does he want to get paid? And I don't know if the Red Bull opportunity is going to come for him. And I don't know if he wants to play second fiddle again. He's going to be in the same situation if he's back with Max. If he's with Max Verstappen, it's going to be a second fiddle situation. So why wouldn't he go to Audi? And why wouldn't he want to be the top dog somewhere? Unless he doesn't want to be the top dog and he's looking at it and say, I like the situation playing second fiddle to Charles Leclerc. And I like the idea of playing second fiddle to Max Verstappen. I like that more than being the lead driver for stake Audi. I don't know. I can't get in his head. But it's probably something like that. Maybe that's it. Maybe he just doesn't want to be the lead driver. And it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure to be the lead driver. I mean, you can still make $40, $50 million a year and not be the face of the team. That's a good deal.
Fair.
And he knows firsthand what Charles Leclerc's life is like being that lead driver versus what his life is like being that second driver. And maybe he wasn't a fan either when he was getting all the attention. You know, he did look sort of uncomfortable. He didn't look like he embraced it like Charles Leclerc. Like, it rolls off Charles Leclerc's shoulders, you know, a lot of this. He's just so, what's the word, aloof about it, about his fame and how famous he is. He's so aloof about it, and he handles it so well here. He just doesn't really care, or doesn't give the sense of caring. I'm sure he does, but he does it well. And I don't know if Carlos can do that. Carlos cries. Carlos is emotional. I mean, I don't mean that as a knock on him. I'm just being honest and truthful. He's much more emotional than Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen are. Am I wrong?
No.
So maybe he doesn't want to be the lead driver. And that's all I got to say about that.
All right, number 2. Kimi Antonelli could potentially debut in Imola, replacing Logan Sargent. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's Kimi Antonelli's time. It probably was his time before the season started. He's got the skills, according to everyone in the business that knows and that's seen him and that deals with the rise of an F2 to F1 driver. He's got what it takes, and he's been talked about for many moons now, coming in and taking his rightful place. And Logan Sargent stinks. So it seems practical. I mean, how, like I said with Lance Stroll, can you do any less? Can you do any less? What, how much worse can he get, Logan Sargent? What are we waiting for?
I don't know.
What are we waiting for?
I don't know.
Him to kill himself or someone else? Because every week he's involved in the situation.
Yeah.
Whether it's an actual situation or a near, very close situation, to wreck his car out or wreck someone else out. And I'm not saying this as much as the insiders at Formula One are saying this. He has no confidence. And when you have no confidence in your car, it's either you have it or you don't. And he doesn't. Talk about driver instincts, as we talked about, again, with Lance Stroll. You know, they're in the same boat. They just don't have it. They don't have the instincts. And I think Formula One wanted to jam this, you know, circle peg in a square hole or whatever the heck you call it, but it just didn't work. They wanted a U.S. driver, and he's not the guy. And they tried to push it, and it's just not happening. It is okay. It's okay to be really, really, really good, just not the best, not be able to compete with these guys. And it's clear that he can't compete. Now, he's got a piece of shit car. So, but he's also been dealt a bad hand. A bad hand from him having to sit out Australia to... It's just been bad. I think that there's plenty of other race gigs, you know, for Logan Sargent in other sports. There's IndyCar, there's NASCAR. Come home. Come home. Race NASCAR, race Indy. You'll do good there. You'll do good. You'll win. At least you won't come in dead last every race. Because Formula One's not for you. It's just not. And he's had plenty of opportunity. You cannot say that Logan Sargent did not get a fair shake.
Nope.
You know? He's just Nicholas Latifi.
Not at all.
That's what he is.
Yeah.
Same thing with Latifi. Latifi got a fair shake. Can't say anything about it. He got a fair shake, and it didn't shake out, and you go to the next guy.
You don't get a Formula One seat on merit. You get it on results.
Absolutely.
Next story.
Next story.
It's right up your alley.
Ooh.
Dealing with your team Haas.
Uh-oh.
Steiner is taking Haas to court, saying he owes them cash, as well as still using his likeness for promotional materials. What's your thoughts on that? He's coming for the cash.
They made him the face of the organization especially through Netflix and Drive to Survive, and they made him like the poster boy, and then they fire him. Okay, it happens. And then they're like, oh, after we fire you, we're still going to use your likeness. Now, I don't know what his contract says, right? If you work in a company and they take your picture, like whatever, doing whatever stupid jobs that we all do and like holding some shit, and we're like, hey, it's a promotional material, and then they use it and they fire you, especially right after. That's pretty brutal. But then they continue to use it. Most people wouldn't have a case. It would be part of your contract that you can have your likeness used in any way, in any form, right? But this is specifically not just his likeness. It's him. It's him they're using. They're using his name. They're using him, and they're still trying to sell the Haas name using someone they fired. And they should have known before they fired him to get this paperwork all together and say, okay, we're letting you go, mutually or not, but we're still going to at least try to use your likeness. Here's some paperwork for you to sign, and this is either what you'll be compensated. That's negotiated, right? Unless Gunther Steiner did something that we don't know about that was crazy, and that's why they got rid of him, there had to be some kind of exit strategy here. This is the face of a company that's leaving the company without anything crazy happening, right? This isn't a situation where he assaulted someone or violated someone's rights and they had to get rid of him that day. This was like a mutual, like they knew probably in August they were going to make this move. They made it in December. They had plenty of time to get their shit together and say, okay, we're going to need X, Y, and Z. We're going to need this paperwork. But in true Haas fashion, they truly have no idea what the heck they're doing from the top to the bottom, because this doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. You don't fire someone to be like, oh, we're still going to use your likeness. We have no associated paperwork to use your likeness, legally or otherwise, and we're going to open ourselves clearly for a lawsuit for a known figure. Because in sports they have that, right? Right? If you're a sport, if someone in football, whatever, basketball, hockey, whatever it is, and you get traded from a team, they can still use your likeness forever and ever and ever. Right? They can still put you in their Hall of Fame. They can still say, come on down and go see the new display for our great player that we just canned, but it's okay. He's our great player, and we're going to sell tickets to something. You can do that. You can do that. So I don't know what Gunther Steiner had in his contract or what they thought he had in his contract, but it seems asinine to me because this seems like a standard practice in sports. I mean, am I crazy?
That sounds about right.
Seems pretty standard that like anyone in a sport and something like this is going to be, their license is going to be used.
Would you expect Haas to do anything less?
Can you do any less?
Like, come on. Would you expect them not to screw something else up? I mean, it's your team there. Come on. And finally, as we all know, the big news breaking, Adrian Newey's going to leave Red Bull. But he was interviewed over the weekend. They asked him what he's going to do. He said he has no plans on joining a team. He's going to get in a camper with his wife and his dogs and go take some walks in southern France. What's your thoughts on that?
There's no way he would have announced to the public in April that he was leaving. He wouldn't have spent last summer talking about wanting to go to Ferrari with Lewis Hamilton before Lewis Hamilton even talked about going to Ferrari. Adrian Newey knows all right? He knows the things that we don't, and he knows the things that the Formula One reporters definitely want to know. He knows all. He is the guru. And south of France, my Aunt Fanny. Okay? That ain't happening. The man's got a few good years left in Formula One, and that's what he's doing. Unless his wife came to him and was like, listen, let's be done. Let's spend time with our family. Let's spend more time at home. You're gone 8, 9, 10 months a year. It's just we're getting older, and let's spend some time together and start spending all the money we made over the years and enjoying it in our later years. But I don't think that's Adrian Newey. Why would he say anything now? He would have had a conversation with Red Bull behind the scenes. They would have kept it completely quiet. This is just last year. They set everything in motion for the exit. They make a big deal. They say, this is the last time he's going to be at this track, and this is the last time he's going to be at Silverstone, and the whole freaking dog and pony show that comes around with a legend like Adrian Newey leaving the sport. Makes no sense. No sense. Unless I'm missing something.
I would concur. I mean, the man said, he's going to go on a vacations, and one day he'll be in the shower and he'll know what he'll do next.
Why would you announce that to the public now? It doesn't make any sense. I understand, yes, that you might want to do that, but you would announce that, I would say, September at earliest. At the earliest, or at least after you clinch. If you clinch the constructors or Max clinches, maybe right before that, right? To not steal Max's thunder or steal the team thunder.
You can say you're going to retire. That doesn't mean you're going to retire. I mean, for an example, here in the States, I mean, how many times did Tom Brady say he was going to retire and come back? You know, professional athletes said they're going to retire. I mean, some athletes have retired for a couple of years and then come back.
Yeah, but you don't announce it. When do they announce it? When do they announce that? They don't announce it at the beginning of the season. They announce it at the end of the season, after everything's said and done. And usually it's because they're not getting enough attention on themselves, so they want to just create more attention to themselves. I'm retiring, and then I'm unretiring because I don't get enough media coverage. I just got to talk. Anyway, it's asinine. He's not going anywhere. He's just leaving Red Bull. He's pissed at Red Bull. He's just trying to candy coat it. He's pissed at Red Bull.
Yeah.
There's a problem, and he's being a good boy right now. But no way he would announce it before September if he was just leaving to go live in a camper with his wife. Poppycock.
And one last thing. Would not be a Formula One program if we did not mention this was the 30th anniversary. This weekend was the 30th anniversary passing of Ayrton Senna. So definitely want to get that in this episode. For sure.
Yeah, one of the pivotal commemorative events we have in Formula One. One of the biggest stars ever. Such a rare occurrence when you have that happening. It's so tragic. Really, still tragic to this day, what Ayrton Senna could have done and could have done for not just the record books, but his own family and community. And he really transcended not just Formula One, but sports itself. And it's a big loss, not just for the Formula One community, but it's been a big loss over the last 30 years for the sporting community as a whole. And some of the older folks that I talk to feel like it's like just yesterday that this happened, and it's still that shocking. It's still that shocking for those who have been around a long time, and for those who were newer or younger or weren't born yet, it's really just part of the fabric of racing. But absolutely tragic still to this day. It has changed Formula One forever. It has changed all the rules and everything we do and the way the car is built. And hopefully it saved many, many lives, and that his life wasn't in vain, and that he has saved many, many other racing drivers and regular drivers' lives, as we know the trickle-down effect from these Formula One cars to the cars we drive terrestrially, unless some of you listening are driving Formula One cars to work, which some of you may. But other than our regular drives, many of these safety features came from Formula One, and a lot of them were unfortunately, because of the tragic passing. So, yeah, I know you were watching that day, and that affected you for the rest of your life. So
still doesn't still feels like it's yesterday.
Yeah. So where are we going next, sir?
We're going to Imola.
It's Imola time, baby.
In 2 weeks time.
2 weeks time. We'll be back next week with another special episode. Mother's Day here in the U.S. We'll still be dropping an episode sometime
probably
next
on Saturday.
weekend. Probably Saturday episode, because Sunday is a kind of a holy day here in the U.S. So we're going to be probably off then, but we'll drop an episode. I'm sure there'll be plenty of in the news to cover between now and then. And until then, folks, say what you got to say, Cheese.
As always, stay medicated, my friends.
Peace.